Hi, I'm Melissa Rose, and I am here with new St Lucie Mets manager Rich Donnelly. Rich, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for sitting down with us. So, you were in Brooklyn for 3 seasons, then Kingsport last year?
Yeah, I managed Kingsport last year.
Yeah.
And I was with Brooklyn. I managed 3 years there. Then I went there as a bench coach with Fonzie 1 year, and then Kingsport last year.
And now St Lucie, so you're really just moving up the ranks, huh?
Oh, I guess. I don't know.
So how do you think your experience, because obviously from Brooklyn you knew those players who were going to end up in Kingsport, how do you think that your experience in Kingsport is now going to prepare you for St. Lucie?
Well, coaching a lot of young players. I coached in the big leagues 29 years, and then you go from there to rookie ball. It's a little different. But the kids at Kingsport are real young. We have 16, 17-year-old kids, and hopefully I'll have a few of them this year. But it's just different. With the young kids, you can't assume that they know anything about baseball.
Right.
They're 16 and 17. They should be juniors and seniors in high school, and now they're playing pro ball. And I've always said if you could play at high A ball and go to double A, then you got a shot. Then you got a shot of getting to the big leagues.
Is there anyone that you think specifically from Kingsport last year has a shot? Is there anyone you expect to see in St. Lucie this year?
Well, I don't know if they'll be there. I was very fortunate last year. I had a couple of our top prospects. I had our number 1 pick, Brett Beatty. I had our number 1 international prospect, Frankie Alvarez, a catcher, and I had Junior Santos. He was 17. So I had a 17-year-old catcher, 17-year-old pitcher, and a 17-year-old third baseman. So I had a high school. I had a high school team.
Yeah.
But they played really well. They found out what pro ball was all about, and I think all 3 of those guys are going to be really good big leaguers.
But besides them coming to the big leagues, what do you think they should be excited about for the area? You've been in Port St. Lucie for a little bit now. What do you think of the area?
Yeah, it's great. You got a great ballpark here. Now we got the great facility. We probably have the best Class A facility in America with all the fields and everything. And as a manager, that means a lot. That means we can do a lot of extra work. We can do our defensive work on other fields. We just don't have one field. We have a turf field. We have a small infield for the pitchers to work on. So all that takes away time, because otherwise you'd have to do all your work on one field. You stretch out a workout to maybe 2 hours, you can get everything done in a half hour.
Yeah.
So that means a lot.
Good. And that's obviously what you as a manager and what the players could be really excited about. What do you think the fans should be really excited about for the new facility?
The kids that they're going to be seeing coming in here to St. Lucie this year, in 2 years they're going to be in big league camp, and then probably a year after that you're going to see them on TV. So you're going to see guys who are going to play in the big leagues probably 2 or 3 years before they get there. And a lot of these people that will come to the game, they'll see these kids, and the thing I'm amazed at still, how young they are and how much ability they have. And then you say, hey, this is not only a player in the making, this may be a star in the making. I think Pete Alonso played here a couple years ago, and we had Jimenez play here a couple years ago. Now he played Double A and Triple A, and he's on his way to the big leagues.
And you obviously had the experience on the player side as well. So you're in Triple A as a player in 1971. And then all of a sudden the next year you're managing for the Greenville Rangers. What was that transition like? What was that experience like?
Well, it was kind of odd. I got mad and I was going to quit. I was very upset, and my manager at spring training was Ted Williams. And I talked back to him one day and I said, oh, I'm done. And I went home and told my wife, I might as well quit. I'm going home. They're going to fire me. Well, I go to spring training, and they called me in, and I thought they were calling me in to release me. And they called me in and says, Rich, I was 25 years old. Yeah. And they says, Rich, we'd like you to be the manager. Ted Williams thinks you'd be a good manager. So they said, oh, by the way, you're going to Greenville, South Carolina. We have some good news and bad news. You're going to be the manager. But 4 days ago, your ballpark just burned to the ground.
No.
So it's just a field out in nowhere. No field, no screens, no dugouts, no nothing. And that was my first experience as a manager.
A little bit of a jump.
So I went there.
To St. Lucie.
So I went there. I was the groundskeeper. I was everything. And you get humbled. I always say in this game there's 2 kind of people: those that are humble and those that are about to be. And I was about to be. But that was a great experience. We won a championship at Greenville, but it was a big adjustment, because when you're 25, you think you can still play. And I sit there, I watch the game on TV. I go, God dang, I wish I hadn't taken this job. I wish I'd have kept on playing. I might have been able to play in the big leagues, because I played at AAA. Then after I got into it and I managed a year or two, I said, this is what I want to do for a living.
Yeah, and you were managing. I mean, 25 is a really young age to be managing.
I had in my second year, I had Mike Hargrove. He was 24. Okay. I was 25.
Crazy.
I was managing guys my age, and I got to learn from Ted Williams. I got to learn from Billy Martin, and then through my career, I got connected with Jim Leland. I was with Jim for 17 years. But growing up, I just tried to, like a sponge, just pick up everything. The great Chuck Tanner, I learned from him. I coached his son. I learned from Billy Martin. I learned from Don Zimmer. All these people that I admired growing up, all of a sudden I'm working with.
Yeah.
And it was great. And you have to be an idiot not to try to learn from them, talk to them, ask them about everything. And that's what you do in this game, not only as a manager, coach, but as a player.
What do you think was the best advice any of them gave you?
Just be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not. My mentor was a coach who managed in the big leagues named Jackie Moore. Jackie taught me everything about baseball, about how to be a manager, how not to get all excited over, when a guy drops a pop-up, just how to handle and how to talk to the players.
Awesome. So I'm sure that led to tons of your success as a manager. And I want to talk about that a little bit, just you specifically. You mentioned that you started managing at 25. Mm-hmm. So obviously your career has spanned over 40 years. It's been a long ride. When you think about the gold medal in the 2017 World Baseball Classic, obviously there's the 1997 World Series win with the Florida Marlins. When you think about all of your accomplishments, I know you said you're humble, but I'm going to make you brag. When you think about all of your accomplishments and some of your best memories in the game, what really sticks out to you the most?
Well, the whole thing, I've been in baseball, this will be my 52nd year. Wow. And the thing they always ask me that question, it's just the association with the players. You're a family. This is your family. You spend 7 or 8 months a year with these guys, just getting to know everybody. I've got calls from guys I managed in that first year that one is a president of a university, and he was the dumbest player I've ever had. He couldn't get one sign. Now they put him in the Hall of Fame. He was the president of a university in Indiana. But all the guys, it's just the association. Mm-hmm. When you look at the whole picture, the championships were wonderful. I've been in 5 playoffs. I got to throw 5 home run derbies. I've been blessed. I've coached an all-star game. I've coached the World Series winner. Like you say, a gold medal, Team USA, that was humbling. You're with the best players in the world. And when you're a little kid, you dream a lot. My mom used to tell me when I was little, she says, "You're a dreamer." She says, "You're a dreamer." And I always used to tell her, I remember I went to my first game when I was about 5 years old at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. And I'll never forget it. I walked up, I walked out, and I saw that green grass and those nice white uniforms, and I go, that's what I want to do. And I've been blessed to have a career like I've had and to know so many people. But I think the relationships are the biggest thing.
Great. I want to pivot a little bit to your personal life. You experienced unbelievable tragedy, the loss of your daughter Amy, your son Mike. I know you speak very openly about that and how you kind of use that to impact others in a positive way. What can you tell us about how that experience has kind of influenced the way that you've managed? Yeah,
people always say that, you're supposed to be the heroes to your kids and they hold you as a hero, but my kids were heroes to me. My daughter Amy, contacted a brain tumor at 17, right in the prime of her life. And I always tell people, her last 9 months, if you look at the pictures of Amy, she smiles more after she found out she was going to die in 9 months than she did before. She knew and she accepted it. I always use the line in my speeches, she showed me how to live and she showed me how to die. She cared about everybody else except herself. And sometimes in this life we get going so fast, everything's us, and we forget about other people, we forget about our family. That's the lesson she taught me. Mike, my son, saved a girl's life who he didn't even know. Threw her out of the way. He was hit by an oncoming car. Saved her life. By the way, she had a baby about a year and a half ago, and her name was Lucie Longoria Ramirez, and she named her baby Michael Donnelly Ramirez. But my kids have shown me how to live. They've shown me strength, and I draw from them every day. And when I think I have a problem, or when I hear somebody else has a problem, I laugh. I go, really? That's a problem? I said, and my wife, she's been so good with she's a woman of faith, and she's taught me. I grew up a very strict Catholic, and then I got away from my faith. And then through Amy and through Mike and my other two daughters who were at the Las Vegas shooting, who almost got, the bullet went between their heads and hit another lady, and she saved Tiffany and Leanne. They saved that girl's life. So they've taught me. I've learned more from my kids than I've ever learned in school. I have a college degree, and I'm sorry, but I've learned more without the degree about life, about how to get knocked down, how to come back. And when Amy specifically passed away, I remember I was mad that why her, why not me? I thought it was unfair that she had to lose her life, and I said, I got two choices here. I can put my head in the sand and let everybody feel sorry for me, or I could go around the world telling everybody how great she was and all her great qualities, because if I would have died, that's what she would have done. So every day I think of them. It never goes away, but I try to use what they taught me in coaching, in relationships with people. And they, like I say, they taught me more than I could ever learn out of a book.
I'd love if you could share a story with the fans that really resonated. I know with a lot of us here, your family motto, the chicken runs at midnight, and how that really culminated at the end in the 1997 World Series.
Yeah, the story was this. I was coaching with Jim Leland for the Pirates in Bradenton in about 92, and boy, everything was wonderful. And like I say, I always have this saying that two kind of people, those that are humble, those are about to be. I was not very humble. I was like, oh boy, I'm a big league coach. We got a great team. We got Barry Bonds. We got Andy Van Slyke. We got Jim Leland. We're going to the World Series. Everything's wonderful. You're coaching for your team that you adored when you were a kid, Pirates. I'm 30 minutes from home. What? Everybody, oh, I was the king, man. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call from Amy one afternoon. She says, Dad, she was 17. She goes, Dad, I got something to tell you, and I have a brain tumor, and I'm sorry. And that got me. When she said, I'm sorry, because she felt that I would be upset about that. And anyway, I flew to Dallas. They had a tumor. There was a brain tumor behind her eye. The doctor went in and operated on her, and they came out, and he brought us into a room, and I knew this wasn't going to be good. And he says, Rich, he says, she has a tumor behind her eye. We tried, we just can't get it out. And then I just said, tell me straight up, don't go beat around the bush. He said she has 9 months to live. And I just, it's just, there's nothing in life that can prepare you for that. No book ever told me how to handle that. And I was mad, I was upset, and I felt so bad for her, like she didn't deserve this. And so the course of the summer went on, and she was in Dallas, and she told me, she said, Dad, go back to Pittsburgh and get in the World Series. So I go back, and about the middle of, I think it was August, Jim Leland, he was talking to her on the phone, and he said, Amy, when we get in the playoffs, we get to the World Series, we're going to fly you to Pittsburgh. Well, sure enough, we were in the playoffs, and we're playing Atlanta in the 5th game, and we fly her in with her friend Cindy to the 5th game, and they go to the game, and we won the game, and we're going to take the series now back to Atlanta, and we're driving home in a car, and she's in the back, and all my kids are there. I have 8 kids, but they were all over the place. But anyway, she leans around, she puts her arms around me, she goes, Dad, she goes, when you get in that stance and you cup your hands like this, when a man on second, she goes, what are you telling those guys, the chicken runs at midnight or what? And we just went, Amy, what the heck is that? Where'd you come up with that one at? So we didn't know what she was talking. Well, that became our family motto through the whole summer. So we're just, we didn't know what it meant, anything. And then in January, doctor came in, he says, Rich, she lapsed into a coma. And in fact, I stayed at the hospital down here, Children's Hospital. I stayed in the hospital for, about 17 days, and she passed away on January 28th, 93. So we chose to honor her by putting the chicken runs at midnight on her tombstone. And we thought, that was our family motto, and that's what she liked, and that's what we'll always remember her at. So we put it on there and thought nothing of it. And then meantime, when we'd write a letter to one another, back then we wrote letters, we didn't do the Twitter or nothing, and we put CRAM, just it's the way we did it. And we'd say, my son Tim, he'd say, hey Dad, I'll see you at Chicken Runs at midnight, boom. And so as it went on, so now 5 years later, we're in Florida, and right in the middle of the season, we acquire a second baseman named Craig Counsell, who's now the manager of the Brewers. And my sons Tim and Mike were the bat boys, and Counts, he came in, and the way he batted, he held his hands up real high and he flapped his arm like a chicken. So my kids nicknamed him a chicken. So all summer they call him a chicken. I didn't even pay a hard attention. They go, hey Dad, the chicken wants to take some batting practice. And I go, who's the chicken? They say Counsell. He's a chicken. We call him a chicken because he flaps his arms. So he was a chicken, but I didn't call him a chicken. I mean, I called him Counts like everybody else did. So here we go. Sure enough, we get into the playoffs. We get in the World Series, and in the seventh game of the World Series, 11 inning game, Counsell gets to third base. He's the winning run. I'm coaching third, and Edgar Renteria comes up with 2 outs off Charles Nagy, 80,000 people, and base hit, and something that you played out in the yard 10,000 times has come to be true. You just won the World Series. People all over the world are watching you. I'm so happy. I'm jumping up in the air. You want to hug somebody, and I'm trying to find Mike and Tim. I see Mike. He jumped on top of a pile, and I'm trying to find Tim, and all of a sudden, and they have a picture of this in the book I wrote. I don't know how they found this picture. Tim and I are right around second base, and they found us, and he's screaming at me, and he's yelling, and his face is beet red. And I go, what's wrong with you? What are you crying about? What's wrong? He said, Dad, look behind you. And I said, look where? What are you talking about? Look. He said, Dad, look at the clock. I looked at the stadium clock. It was like 12:02 midnight. He said, Dad, the chicken ran at midnight. Wow.
He was there while you were winning the World Series.
I dropped to my knees, and I always hear people tell about an out-of-body experience or miracles that, like, the sky opens up, and it did. And I was stunned. I was stunned. I didn't even know how to act. All the joy that I had just went out of me. I tell people, it was like every ounce of emotion, of happiness in my body just went limp. And I remember after the game, I carried around a note. Amy sent me a note one time in Atlanta. We were playing. She was in Dallas. The girl to death sent it down. Says, "Dear Dad, chicken runs at midnight. Love, Amy." And I kept it all those years in my that little book. I kept it in my locker, and I wanted to go in that night and call her, and tell her I want to call her so bad and say, Amy, the chicken didn't run at midnight. It did. So it's a miracle story, but I mean, we're in there 20-some years later. I still remember that. I can still remember the night that it happened, and when I tell the story to people, I just told the story to DJ Carrasco, and he said, "Oh my God!" He showed it to his wife. He said, "I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's unbelievable." So it's a story about family first. It's a story about baseball. It's a story about your kids. It's a story about your fathers and mothers, and what the relationship should be. And mine sometimes wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. I put my career ahead of my kids, and like I say, it's a good lesson for everybody. And when I do talks around the country, I just tell the players. In fact, I think we're going to show the tape here shortly, because Louis has seen it, that in this game we get going so fast sometimes. We just go right by. We just zip right by our kids sometimes. And I tell them, call your kids 3 times a day. Drive to see them play a game. Do whatever I'll take that off day and go home and see them, because it means the world to them. I didn't realize that. And so this is a great lesson. I use it now as a great lesson for baseball people. That's what I deal with every day. I deal with, this is my family. This is my strength. I don't know what I'd do without baseball. One year I tried to take the year off, and my wife said, go back with your family, because this is what we've been doing all our lives. Yeah.
How proud do you think Amy and Mike are of you, not just in all of your accomplishments as a manager, but how you've lived your life since.
Well, I hope they would think, Dad, you finally turned it around. I always tell this story. When I speak. And I thought of this one night. I said, life is like running the bases. When you're in life, you start out where? You started at home. Your mom and dad got you they're pushing you. You're the baby, you're the apple of their eye. And they push you, and your formative years are easy. They push you toward, and in baseball, the easiest base to get to is first base. Easy. Everybody can get to first base. Look how bad you are. If you're a lousy hitter and you get hit by a pitch, you're going to walk, you still get to first. Okay. Then the next base to go to is second. That's a little harder. And in my life, in my personal life, now I rounded first, I go to second. And it's awful strange. I was a catcher, and I know this. The distance between home and second is 120 feet, 6 inches exactly. In my personal life, I was further away from home than I had been in my life. I got out of the baseline. I went way out here. And I needed something to get me back in. And like I say, I was born and raised a strict Catholic, and then I got to a place where I thought going to church was for sissies. I thought going to church was not for big league players. Big league players chew tobacco, act tough. They don't go to church. And that's what I thought. So I'm way out of the baseline in my personal life. I was just way out there. And I needed something to get me back. And I always say this. So Amy, she got me back in the baseline. And all my years in baseball, that's what I do. I'm a third base coach. I wave guys. And where do I wave them? Back home. The ultimate thing in baseball is getting back to where you started. The ultimate thing in life for me was getting me back to where I was the most happiest and where I was a good person, home, in my younger years. And I just feel, it's like somebody's put their hands on my shoulders and shook me and said, listen, you got to get, you won't listen to anybody. You won't listen. You're egotistical. You're blah, blah, blah. Okay, listen to your daughter. And that's what I feel. I really do. And she got me back into trying to be a decent person, trying to be a good person, trying to have all the characteristics and qualities that she had, that Mike had, and my wife had. They've been wonderful to get me back in. So to answer to your question, I would hope that they'd be proud that her dad, at this age, could turn it around a little bit and get back to the way you should be.
Awesome, Rich. Yeah. Thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Okay.
Good luck in St. Lucie.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to thank Rich Donnelly for sitting down with me. Make sure you catch him all season with the St. Lucie Mets.